I've made over $1 million in sales from one print-on-demand product, and it's probably not what you think. That product is embroidered hats, which is my best-selling product of all time, and contrary to popular belief, can sell well all year round. In this episode, I'm going to break down why you may want to consider adding hats to your shop. We're going to go through some fun search and sales data. I'm going to share some trendy hat styles right now that people are buying. I'm going to share my simple 3-step strategy to maximize your hat sales. And if you listen until the end, I'm going to share a bonus tip with you to unlock even more sales. My name is Adrian Von Arx, and welcome to the Print on Demand Playbook podcast. What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. This is going to be a solo episode discussing what may be the most underrated print-on-demand product. I've made well over $1 million in sales selling embroidered hats, and it's my best-selling product of all time. So we're going to be discussing everything you need to know about that. But just before we get into it, as usual, I want to shout out one of you, our amazing listeners. I have a message that I received in the Instagram DMs. This is from Karen in the UK. And I wanted to share this with you. One, to acknowledge her and thank her, but also for some inspiration. I'm so proud of this listener for the action they took and some of the results that they're starting to see. So here's what they said. A couple months ago, they sent me a message in the Instagram DMs. We had a little bit of back and forth. And essentially what they said at first was, I've been following yours and Kerry's podcast for a while, and I can't tell you how valuable I find it. The latest episode, number 85, brought it all together, and I'm really hyped just having listened, as I'm about to launch my Shopify store this week after having tested the waters on Etsy for a couple of months. Well, I am happy to report that more recently, a few months later, they sent me a follow-up message, and it just made me so happy for them. And she says, through listening to your podcast and other content, I've now got a bestseller. I'm super grateful. Let's freaking go. I am grateful for you for being a listener, but also for taking the action and doing the things, all right? Because a lot of people, they will consume the information, but they won't actually go out and apply it. And no matter how much information you consume, without application, without actually going out and taking any action, it's kind of useless, to be honest. I heard a good quote a long time ago. I think it's a Tony Robbins quote. And he said, knowledge is not power. Knowledge applied is power. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that. You could know everything there is to know about creating a successful brand, but if you don't actually take any of the actions, guess what? Not only are you not going to get it, but someone else out there, someone that is taking the action, they're going to go and they're going to see those results. They're going to have that success. If they stick with it and they follow proven strategy, of course. So thank you so much for the kind messages. We love hearing from you guys. Feel free to DM us anytime at Ecom Legends Academy for me, and then at Kerry Egler for Kerry. Or if you could write us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we greatly appreciate it. We really appreciate each and every one of you. All right. With that, let's move right into the main event, because we actually have a lot to cover on this solo episode. And what I want to do is I'm going to start by giving you the breakdown, what we're going to go through, and then we're going to go through it one at a time. And I want you to listen until the end, because I've got a bonus tip, something that I figured out a couple of years ago to unlock more sales from embroidered hats, you could say. And I'm going to share that with you at the end. All right. So here's how it's going to go down. First, I want to talk about 6 reasons that you may want to consider adding hats to your shop. All right. I want to make a strong case here because I've seen a lot of people have success selling hats. And I'm going to tell you a story in a sec, which is going to kind of show that and bring that together. But I'm going to tell you why you may want to consider adding them to your shop. We're going to go over search volume for hats and some sales data. Then we're going to talk about some trendy hat styles right now, some of the best selling hat styles that I'm seeing out there and that I'm selling myself. I'm going to share with you my simple strategy to maximize your hat sales. And it's very simple. So you'll see what I mean when I get there. And then of course I got that bonus tip. So you got to listen to the end. All right. Well, you could just fast forward it, but I hope you listen to it all the way through. So before we jump into the kind of first part of this, before we get into 6 reasons to consider adding hats to your shop, I want to tell you a very short story about how my hat sales started. And I hope that you take this as inspiration. And if this is something you've been thinking about, or if you just didn't even know about it and you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense for my brand, well, I hope you take this and you run with it. All right. So here's the story. All right. While I was living in Thailand, a friend of mine from Vancouver introduced me to print on demand. And before I knew it, there was a group of 3 of us, each starting our own businesses in different niches. So we were all creating brands with Shopify and print on demand. We were all creating our own brands and we were all in different niches. After a few months of just banging our heads against our computer and struggling to make sales, we finally all invested in a training and coaching program. I think it was about $5,000 for this program. And the coach of that program, he told us that his best-selling product was hats. So what did we do? Well, success leaves clues, right? And so we all decided to add hats to our shop very early on, like very, very early on. We were focused primarily on apparel, so t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, hoodies, and we had hats. And get this, within 1 year of joining that program, 3 big things happened. 1, each of us created a winning design for our brands. So I created one for my brand, friend 2 created one for their brand, and friend 3 created a winning design for their brand. Awesome, right? That obviously unlocked a whole lot of sales for us and allowed us to see big income spikes in our business. 2, each of us exceeded 6 figures in sales within that year. All right. And 3, the best selling product across all 3 brands was, can you guess? Any guesses? Yes, it was hats. All 3 brands in 3 different niches, serving 3 different types of people. And a consistent trend was that all of our number 1 selling product was hats. And the coach who we learned from, their best selling product was hats too. All right. Yes, we have sold a lot of t-shirts and other apparel. However, that was it was a common denominator across the board. Number 1 selling product was hats. The following year, I started a second brand in the dog niche. And can you guess what our best selling product was? Again, totally different niche from any of those 3 brands. All right. Of course, it was hats. Again, it was hats. Shortly after creating a winning design for that brand in the dog niche, we were able to make $277,000 in 60 days. Revenue, not profit, but still, that's crazy. And the number 1 selling product was hats. Pretty crazy, right? So I hope that story inspires you to at least consider introducing hats for your brand. Hey, I want to invite you to my free masterclass where I reveal how to make your first $10,000 in sales with Shopify and print on demand. If you are just starting out, this will give you a head start. And if you're a POD veteran, this training is meant to help you multiply your growth faster. So if that sounds interesting to you, you can register for that free training by clicking the link below in the show notes or by going to ecomlegendsacademy.com/grow. And kind of leading into that, segueing into that, I want to share 6 reasons why I believe hats are an excellent product for most brands. And you can make your decision from there. All right. So here's 6 big reasons why I think you might want to consider offering hats in your shop. Okay. First, hats are usually one size fits most. This is going to reduce the likelihood that someone is unhappy with their size since many of the hats are adjustable. This is what I love about hats. With t-shirts and sweatshirts and hoodies and tank tops, because they have different sizes and different fits, you need to expect that there's gonna be some exchanges and returns. It just comes with the territory. And if you are selling a high volume and you are only getting a small return and exchange rate, consider that a win because you're making a lot of sales, right? You're getting all that volume. But because there's so many sizes, this is just the way it is with products with multiple sizes. But that's one thing I love about hats is they fit almost everybody. One hat fits almost everybody because the ones that we've sold and the popular ones, a lot of those, they're adjustable. All right. So you don't have to offer a bunch of different sizes and risk one not fitting someone. Right. So that's the first thing. Secondly, because of this, they have extremely low return exchange rates. I'm talking extremely low. Across our entire catalog of products that we've sold for apparel, hats have the lowest return rate and exchange rate of any of those products because most of them fit, right? So it would have to be for another reason. All right. So that's number 2. I just love that there's hardly any customer support issues with them. Of course, unless the quality of the embroidery is really bad or something. But if you've got if you're working with a good print on demand company that does a good job, then this isn't something that you should be experiencing very often. All right. Number 3, a third reason to consider hats is that they're super easy to design and to create since the designs are usually very simple and minimal. They have to be. Like, unless you're actually printing on a hat, which I'm recommending embroidery because that's where I've always had my success. And all the examples that I've talked about, those were all embroidered hats. Those weren't printed hats. I'm not saying you can't make a ton of sales with printed hats, but with printed hats, you actually can do complex designs because they're just printed on, right? But with embroidered hats, because it's embroidery, you can't have super fine details usually. It just like won't come out well, right? So you're encouraged to keep it very simple. And this is good. This is great because it means that it's going to be really easy to create these designs for you. So for example, my brand in the dog niche, where we were able to make $277,000 in 60 days in revenue, the number one seller was a hat, and it was purely text-based, a purely text-based hat. No crazy imagery, no crazy, like not even design elements. It was just purely text-based, super, super simple, right? So that's another reason why I really love them. Fourth is they're really good for increasing sales of popular designs, as many times you can literally repurpose the exact, let's say, t-shirt design. For example, let's say if you're winning t-shirt design, you can just repurpose that exact design and put it on a hat. All right. Now, there are cases, of course, because designs on shirts are usually printed. They can be embroidered, but they're usually printed. So there are going to be some cases where you might have a more intricate design. It might be a bit more complex or have design elements. It just wouldn't look good with embroidery. And that's okay. What I recommend doing in that case is creating a modified version of that design for a hat. So for example, if let's say you had a winning slogan and then you had some sort of design element that was just quite complex and wouldn't look good on embroidery, you might just want to consider having the quote, the words that most likely that's the reason it won anyways. But design elements can definitely enhance a design for sure. Or what you could do is you could just put a simpler design element, right? So you've got options there. But in many cases, I shouldn't say most, in many cases, if you're creating simple designs, which we know simple designs sell the best, sometimes fully text-based, sometimes text-based with one or two design elements, a lot of those, you'll literally just be able to take that design and throw it on a hat. And I love this for scaling. And by scaling, I mean finding ways to unlock more sales from a design. So if I have a winning design on a t-shirt, what's the logical next thing that I'm going to do? Well, I'm going to put it on other products. I might put it on a sweatshirt. I might put it on a hoodie. I'm definitely going to put it on a hat. And maybe even other products. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build it out into a collection, because if someone is willing to buy this, if they love it so much that they buy it on a t-shirt, guess what? They're highly likely to buy it on other products, to love it on other products as well. Right. And so what you're going to notice, I've noticed this for a very long time, pretty much since the beginning, is when I create a winning design and I build out a collection around it, many people buy multiple products with the exact same design. So they might buy 2, 3, maybe even 4 different products from that collection. And that's why I love hats, because it's so easy to add most designs onto a hat and then add it to a collection. And I know that it's a popular selling product across many, many, many niches, right? So that's the fourth reason why I really like offering hats in my shops. And then the fifth reason is that they're lightweight. And as a result, the shipping costs are low. The shipping costs are very low for hats because they're so light, right? So that's great too. And then lastly, the sixth reason, I mean, I could go on and on about this, but I'm just gonna narrow it down to 6, okay? The sixth reason is that there's actually much less competition than popular apparel products like t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies. There's just a lot less people selling them. I don't know why. I know that t-shirts are by far the number one bestseller. It is natural, if something sells well on a t-shirt, to put it on a sweatshirt, a hoodie, a tank top, stuff like that. But that's another reason why I really like hats, is because a lot of people just don't sell them. So you have less competition. All right. And then there's different styles of hats as well. So it could be even less competition. Someone might sell something similar, but not with the same style of hat. So there's a number of reasons why. But those are kind of summing it up into just 6 reasons. I really needed to narrow it down because I didn't want this episode to be 3 hours long, right? So those are the 6 reasons. And contrary to popular belief, people wear hats year round in many, many places, cold, warm, whatever, especially in the sunny states like Arizona, where I live. Of course, people wear hats here all the time because it's sunny all year round, right? However, what I realized, regardless of location, people like to wear hats indoors at places like gyms, casual events, and just anytime that they're having a bad hair day, they'll wear them indoors, they'll wear them outdoors. It's just a wardrobe staple these days, and a lot of people wear them, whether it's sunny or not, indoors or outdoors, right? So I will say that a lot of our hat sales, our hat sales, they tend to pick up in the early spring, around like February or so every year. That's kind of when we see the sales start to pick up into the summer. However, we still make a lot of hat sales all year round. Like right now, it's almost winter, and still our best-selling product right now is hats. So I want you to know that this is not as seasonal as I think a lot of people think it is. But I mean, just think of all the people wearing hats if you go to the gym, or if you go to a mall, or if you go to any other big public place. There's a lot of people that wear them, right? It's like I said, it's a wardrobe staple. So don't think that this is just seasonal. Yes, maybe more people are going to be looking for hats leading into the spring. However, people are buying hats all year round. I know for a fact. So let's kind of shift gears here and talk about some of the search and sales data. So I love using Everbee. It's my favorite design research tool right now. And using Everbee, I was able to see that there are currently over 4,400 monthly searches for hats just on Etsy right now, which signals high demand. And like I mentioned, it's almost winter at the time that I'm recording this. Crazy, right? Remember too, that the high majority of online sales, of online hat sales, and just online sales in general, they're made off of Etsy. Etsy is just a marketplace that is a small fraction of all the online sales happening in the world. There's a lot more happening on Shopify and a lot more happening on other e-commerce sites as well. So keep that in mind. This is just going to one marketplace, and there's 4,400 monthly searches, and it's almost a winter time. All right. And while analyzing these best sellers on Everbee, I actually saw countless hats that are for sale on Etsy that were estimated to be making $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, $30,000 a month. One was estimated to be making over $55,000 per month from one hat on Etsy. So this just goes to show, like, even on Etsy, there are some very high volume sellers who are selling hats. And I can guarantee you that they have a way less competition than those people just selling t-shirts. I'm not trying to discourage t-shirts. T-shirts are statistically the number one best-selling print-on-demand product. Those are just the numbers, all right? However, it is nice to have some lower competition products as well, right? So this is why hats is one of my favorite. So let's now talk about some of the trendy hat styles right now. All right. So there's a couple different hats that I sell and that I see other people selling successfully, but also that I'm just seeing out there on the marketplaces and other online sites that are selling really well. So I actually want to get specific here and share 3 styles with you that I see selling really well. And the first one is actually my favorite right now. This is the one we're selling. We absolutely love this. So for our hats, we are selling through Printful, soon to be Printful, Printify, because they're merging. But you can actually also get this now on Printify. I'm pretty sure I saw it on Printify. I don't know if it's the exact model, because I couldn't find where it said, but it looked very similar, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if it was the exact same model. So that hat is, I get mine from Printful, but it looks like they have it on Printify as well. That hat is the classic dad hat, and the exact name is the Yupung 6245CM. I think it's like a South Korean company or something, but how you spell that is YUPOONG 6245, the letter C, the letter M. That is my favorite hat right now. That's the one that we're selling. And this is just a trendy hat all around. Dad hats are very popular, and not just for dads. We actually sell way more dad hats to females than we do for males. So just don't be deceived by the name. If you are in the female niche, sell dad hats. They are trendy amongst many females. All right. The second hat that I'm seeing a lot of people selling right now that are actually selling well when I look at a lot of the sales data, that is the vintage cap. So this is also coming from Printful. All right. And it is, the exact name is Auto Cap 18-1248. So that's OTTOCAP 18-1248. All right. This one's really trendy right now. Like, vintage looking designs, vintage looking styles, like the Comfort Colors 1717 t-shirt, which is just crushing right now. And vintage hats are selling really well. It's just a trend across the board. All right. So this is one that you might want to consider, the vintage cap, Auto Cap 18-1248. And then the third one that I'm going to share with you, this is another popular one. This is the distressed dad hat. And the specific name is Auto Cap 104-1018. So all 3 of these hats that I'm mentioning, they are all in the Printful catalog. And there are similar hats to some or all of them in the Printify catalog as well. So whether you're using Printful, Printify, maybe even whatever, if you're using another print-on-demand company, these are hats that you should consider. So the styles are the dad hat and the vintage hats. Those are ones, and then the distressed dad hat. These ones I see doing really well. Of course, remember that they're only going to sell well if the design is something that people actually want to wear. If it's something people actually want to buy, right? Like if you have a crappy design, then it doesn't matter how cool the hat is. A lot of people aren't going to buy it because many of them are buying it for the design. Most of them are buying it for the design. And if you can blend a cool, trendy hat that a lot of people really like with a design that is a winning design that has mass appeal within your particular audience, within your particular niche, well, that's a recipe for massive sales, massive sales. So those are the three different hat types. Next, what I want to talk about is my very simple strategy to maximize your hat sales. And I'm keeping this very simple because it does not need to be complicated. You know, I really pride myself on teaching simple strategies. And I'm not saying everything is easy. I'm not saying it's easy to create a winning design and it's easy to make a lot of sales. Simple and easy, I consider independent of each other, totally different. There are simple strategies that are, like the one I'm going to share, but I'm not saying they're easy. But this is just a proven strategy that I've been able to use, very simple. And if you have a winning design, then you can have a lot of success applying this as well. All right. So the simple strategy, really, there's just three parts. The first part is focus on creating a winning design. Generally, this is going to be for your core product type. So let's say, for example, you start a t-shirt business and you created a winning design. Awesome. I love that for you. Now it's time to turn that into a collection. All right. So you've got a winning design on a t-shirt. That's awesome. Next step number 2, once you have a winning design, the first focus should always be to create a winning design, because when you create a winning design, sales are going to come so much easier for you. This is why I'm so bullish on design research and design creation. All right. I always say it. You need 3 things to make a lot of sales: a design that people actually want to buy, a winning design, a place for them to buy it, i.e. Shopify or your Instagram shops, or a marketplace like Etsy, for example, and then eyeballs on that product. All right. So once you have a winning design, you want to add that design to a hat and turn it into a collection. So if it is truly a winning design, don't just stop at a hat. Like, it's actually worth taking the time to put that on multiple products and give people options, because this is a winner. Now, I wouldn't recommend this if you don't have a winning design, because if it's a design that's never going to make a sale, that does not have mass appeal with your ideal customer or any appeal at all, guess what? If you take this design that nobody wants and you put it on 20 products, it's not much more likely to make you any sales. And if you do, it's probably going to be very small because it's a product that people don't like, right? So I don't want you wasting your time putting this on all these other products. It's kind of like, the motto that Carlos and I have for T-Shirt Legends Academy is reward the winners and punish the losers. And what we mean by that is reward the winners by putting those winning designs on more products, because we know that if it wins on one product, it can win on other products as well. And it's likely going to increase the average order value. That's the amount that a customer spends. Because now, instead of just buying the one t-shirt with a winning design and that's all you offer, they might buy the t-shirt, the hat, and the sweatshirt for the colder months, right? All right. So that's one thing I definitely recommend. Step 2 is once you have a winning design, I'm so excited. I'm like talking too fast for myself. Once you have a winning design, add that design to a hat and turn it into a collection with other products as well. But I really like hats for all the reasons I mentioned. They're my number 1 selling product of all time. So of course, I'm going to be screaming this from the rooftops because I do not gatekeep. All right. And then step number 3 of this very simple strategy is continue adding hats to all of your best-selling designs. Now, I want to repeat that because I'm using specific language here. All right. Continue adding hats to all of your best-selling designs. If the design is not popular, if it's not making any sales, I would rather you focus your time on creating more designs in search of creating that winning design, as opposed to taking time away from that to add designs that nobody wants on more products, right? It's just not the best use of your time. The quickest path to six figures is to create a winning design and to scale that up, scale that fast and hard. And by scale, I just mean really market it hard, create a collection, and try to get all the juice, try to squeeze all the juice out of that winning design as quickly as possible. Now, what I will say is that you can ride winning designs for a very long time. However, most of the momentum is in about the first 90 days. And so this is where you want to be focusing your energy when you create that winning design. This is the best use of the time. Marketing and growing it out into a collection so that people can buy it on more than one product. And a lot of them likely will. All right. So I know I said a lot there for that simple strategy. Let me reiterate the 3 steps. All right. So the simple strategy to maximize your hat sales: 1, focus on creating a winning design for your core product. So let's say t-shirts. All right. Focus on creating a winning design. Number 2, once you have a winning design, add that design to a hat and turn it into a collection. Ideally, you would add some other products as well, but definitely I recommend hats. And then 3, continue adding hats to all of your best-selling designs. Only the best-selling designs, all right? I want you to abandon designs that don't sell well, all right? If you've tested them properly and you've got them in front of a lot of people and they are not making sales, they are not resonating with your ideal customer, take the emotion out of it and move on, all right? Just move on. So that is it. That is this simple 3-step strategy to maximize your hat sales, all right? Now, like I said, not all designs are going to work on embroidered hats, but many times you can modify the design to make it work. What I will say too is you definitely can test this on hat styles that allow printing, right? There's a number of hats, like some trucker hats, some of the foam hats, where they're actually going to print the design on. They're not going to embroider it. And so this is kind of another option for you, right? So what you could do is you could create an embroidered version, which would be a simple version of the design if it's a very complex design. And then you can also offer it on one of the hats that you print on, and you would actually be able to have the original design on that. So that's another option for you as well. All right. I also want to mention that if you want to see kind of a very brief tutorial on how to design and add hats to your shop, I actually created a 3.5 minute long YouTube video, which I'll link below. So that's all about creating a design for a hat and then adding it to your shop. All right. Very short, very sweet, no fluff, just 3.5 minutes. Check it out. I'll link it below. You can also just go to my YouTube channel at Adrian _von Arx, and you can find it there. All right. All right. Last but not least, I want to share a bonus tip because I love sharing bonus tips. Like I said, I don't gatekeep here. We don't gatekeep here. We just like to give it all out. So here's a bonus tip. Leading up to the fall, I recommend adding your best-selling hat designs to beanies. Now, beanies, for my Canadian friends, toques, but in the US, they call them beanies. Beanies, they are a pretty seasonal product, I will admit, because we sell way more in the fall and winter months than we do the rest of the year. And they do tend to sell best in those 2 seasons, fall and winter. So what I recommend, as you're rolling out your fall collection, so if you're bringing out new fall-inspired designs, fall-inspired products, let's say that you were focused on t-shirts for the summer and now you want to roll out more sweatshirts and hoodies because it's getting to the colder months, this is a great time to also roll out beanies. So even though these tend to be a pretty seasonal product and sell best in the fall and winter, this has been a great way to unlock more sales out of our best-selling designs. And just like hats, they're great like hats for all the 6 reasons that I mentioned earlier, except for the fact that people wear them all year round. People don't wear beanies as often all year round. However, they're great for a lot of the same reasons. And if they're their best-selling design on a hat, guess what? When it gets cold and when people are looking for beanies, you have an amazing product for them that you already know that they love, right? You already know that they love that design. So give the people what they want. If they're looking for a beanie and they see their favorite hat slogan on a beanie, they're likely to buy a beanie too, right? There's also just way less competition selling beanies than other popular apparel products like t-shirts, for example. So that's the pro tip. If you have a winning design and you put it on a hat, or if you have your best-selling designs on hats and they are actually selling, remember, reward the winners, punish the losers, right? So if it was a losing design, if it didn't make any sales, I'm not going to waste any more time putting that on other products. However, if it is a winning design and it's making me a ton of sales and I'm looking for other products to put the design onto for my collection, you best believe I'm going to put that on beanies leading up to the fall. So I would probably do it in August. That's when I like to roll out fall inspired stuff. That's when it starts getting on people's mind. And they can sell really, really well. If you're making sales of your best-selling designs on hats, you're likely also going to make sales of those on beanies as well. It's a unique product and people just seem to really like it. A lot of people wear beanies in the winter. So it's a great product to offer and it's very easy. You just take the exact same embroidered design from the hat, you throw it on a beanie and you're good to go. So that is it for this episode. I hope you enjoy this episode. And if you are someone looking to take your business to the next level in 2025, maybe you just want to get started. Maybe you've already started, but you're ready to take it to the next level. I want to recommend checking out my free 90-minute training all on how to make your first $10,000 in sales with Shopify and print on demand. You can register for that training by clicking the link below in the show notes or by going to ecomlegendsacademy.com/grow. We have some huge things coming in 2025 for my training and coaching program, T-Shirt Legends Academy, which I created with my brother Carlos. Some real big things coming in 2025, and we would love to support you going into the new year and moving forward. So if that is something you're interested in, definitely check out that free live training where we talk more about the program and how you can get direct coaching from us. All right. So I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much for listening. Go out there, take action, start before you're ready, and remember that you're always just one design away. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Print on Demand Playbook podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us an honest review on whichever platform you are listening from or DM us on social media. We love hearing from you. Thank you so much again for being a listener, and we will talk very soon.